There you are.
There we go. So I got Peter from 1000 Bone Cylinder Explosion hanging out with me today. I'm very kind of excited to do this because you made one of the more interesting records of 2021 for me. I will definitely tell you that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So the first question I always like to kind of ask new artists that are kind of in the new view of all the people that are watching this is give me 5 words, just 5 simple words to explain 1000 Bone Cylinder Explosion.
5 words. Oh boy, that's tough. Coffee. Um, well, it's a solo project. Solo, I guess.
Okay.
Technically, I know there's confusion out there for that. More words. I don't know. It's being the PR has said ADHD. I don't think I've never been formally diagnosed, but sure. I don't know. Meta. I guess a little bit meta, at least for my friend group. So is that wait? Where am I at? 4? Is that 4?
Got one more to go.
I need one more. This is tough. Um, super cult. That's 2 words, but I'm gonna go with that with the B.
That's 6 words is still awesome, man. That's great.
Awesome.
I love that you threw the ADHD in just simply because of the bio itself. But I'm gonna say the music definitely is AHAD inspired, I would say.
Yeah.
But so you just said a very crucially important thing. It's not well, actually it is a solo project, but it's not really a solo project.
Yeah, well, I mean, I did all the writing. I just, I'm not fast enough on drums to play all the drum parts, so I had to hire someone more qualified.
That's what I was going to ask
Yeah.
Was it just the drummer that helped you on this record, or did anybody else help you?
Just the drummer. The drummer is Greg Bogart. We're in a million other projects together, so it's pretty easy to just grab him. It's like, hey, I need you.
Cool. So what I hear on this record is a mix of thrash, black metal, punk. I'm gonna say jazz. I'm also gonna say like heavy grooves.
Was that grooves?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then really catchy hooks.
Okay.
All right, all mixed together in some of the most insanity that I've heard in quite some time.
Oh, thank you.
So I'm going to throw a couple of bands out there that I hear influences on, and I want to see if you agree or it's bands you've never even listened to.
Oh, you're going to be amazed at how much I don't listen to. So, yeah, let's hear it.
All right. So the first one is Psy from Japan.
Oh, that one I do listen to. Yeah. I mean, it's been a while, but when Insomnophobia came out, I was really stoked on that record.
Because there's a lot of Psy elements throughout their whole career in what you do. And it's not so much the Oriental Asian side of things, it's that kind of frantic thrash meets black metal style that I can really feel coming through.
Yeah. And there's some of the gangy vocal bits I can totally see. Yeah.
All right. So Damensgard from Norway.
Damensgard?
Yes.
Can't say I've actually heard of them. So no.
You may want to check them out because they mix electronic, black metal, death metal, and weird avant-garde elements into something that are just really different. So you may really like it.
Cool.
And then there's a couple of thrash metal bands that I particularly hear. So the very first one is Dark Angel.
Dark Angel. I think I might know of them on the peripheral of my experience, but I can't say that they are an influence.
Not a problem. And then the second one is Creator.
Creator. I've been getting a lot of Creator comments actually from my friends, but I can't say that was a direct influence either.
And I'm talking about early Creator, not later period Creator, like the first couple of records in the 80s. The guitar sound is so similar in this creepy way that like you brought me back to my childhood. Like I'm just
Guitar tone was actually fun. I was specific. I wasn't going for anything specific. My only the thing was that I was trying to do was just use pedals as my main
Mhm.
main guitar sound. So it just ended up being whatever it is. But yeah, creator, that's great. It's awesome. It's a
Cool,
great
cool.
comparison.
Awesome. So
Yeah.
those are kind of the bands that I heard. So now it's going to be some probably more left of field questions, just because this band is mysterious at best. All
Okay.
right.
Yeah, yeah. Let's hear 'em.
All right. So the first thing I want to talk about is the album cover, because the
Yeah.
album cover is like, I almost, and this is giving you mad respect. Okay. It's almost like a 4-year-old child had a fucking tantrum
Yeah.
and was listening to your album and gave you this as the art.
That was definitely the inspiration for it. Actually, what it was is I literally, well, it's actually kind of a weird story. The drummer originally did the cover for it, and the cover is still featured if you download it on Bandcamp. It's the back cover on the actual physical copies, and he did literally all the other artwork. And I just thought it didn't capture what I wanted for the front cover, because I wanted it. I actually, weirdly enough, and I know people aren't going to think this, at least when they're listening to it initially, I think the album's on the pretentious side a little bit. So I was just trying to, mitigate it with a really silly cover. And what he did was not silly enough. That was, and not a quib, actually. It's almost like his cover was too good. That's what that was basically what I was going for. So I think I spent a grand total of 5 seconds on drawing it, and then and then took a very long time, like taking the photo, because I have limited photo experience. But yeah, that part was me. But that was what I went for, because I was trying to. I thought it made sense. I know no one thinks it makes sense. There were some reviews that said it doesn't even represent what the music is. I'm like, yeah, I know, that's what I was going for, though.
So
Yeah.
I'm going to disagree,
Yeah.
because, okay, so here's a non-metal reference that I'm going to go for that you may dig, you may not dig, you may not even know.
Mhm.
Uh, but Jay Mascis from Dinosaur Jr. has done very much the same thing. So
Interesting.
he puts cartoons, weird cardboard cutouts, weird artwork, all into his music. And his music, he says, is a mix of indie, metal, and just weirdness. And I'd almost say that's what you are doing.
Yeah, well, I was really just trying to stand out in the thrashy black metal uh, scene, I guess. I'm like, there's all these, tentacle monsters from the external dimensions, and I just wanted to be like, just a stupid hand-drawn smiley face would be pretty funny. But I definitely went for, it's funny over.
It's
Uh,
awesome.
yeah.
No, it works really well. And people that can't get that this band is a little more fringe
Mhm.
need some serious help. Uh, like,
Well,
like if they're
thank you for figuring it
yeah,
out.
yeah. I mean, this is not your mainstream black thrash band by any means. Um, so I kind of want to talk a little bit about your YouTube channel as well too.
Oh no! Yeah, go for it. You
So
looked at him.
yeah, well, yeah, because I went to watch the start video and it took me down a rabbit hole of some really interesting things.
Yeah.
So, what is this YouTube channel all about, and what's going on with it?
Well, so it was like it was slightly weird for like starting, because like just getting the band out there, because I mean I'm in other bands, but like still like starting from scratch is really hard when you're just basically just a recording project and have no past at all. So I'm like, I'm just gonna create some content for people to look at for the months prior to release. That was basically the idea,
Okay.
and that was just it. And I was just like, maybe we can get some funny nonsense up there first, and it worked for that purpose. But I mean, pretty funny that you stumbled upon it afterward. It wasn't the intent. So yeah, it was just for, and also, I mean, I'm bad at all the video portions of everything, but in this day and age, as a musician, you probably got to start working with all that stuff, just to because you have to have a hand in everything. So it was also just like practicing editing and stuff just to get used to it. So it wasn't, none of it's meant to be good, it's just meant to exist. Yeah.
Nice. No, cool. Very cool. So let's talk about the video for Start.
Yeah.
I simply love that it starts with a seizure warning. Okay, like that is one of my favorite moments ever,
Mhm.
and it is very seizure intensive. I'm not going to say it's
Yeah,
not.
yeah. Yeah.
But is there a specific reason it's just you and the drummer and crazy ring lights? Is that like
That was the well, we have so our other band Lore, I mean we have a light guy, Kevin, if he's watching, hello. And it was just this was still when we did, I guess we're still like in lockdown mode. So you know, we had to keep it, you know, pretty low key. We just had, and it was just an easy idea to do, is like, hey, light guy, and then Tyler's the one that actually filmed and edited the video, who's the singer for Lore. So we just had the four of us, and we rented out a bar we used to play at a bunch in Philadelphia, Century. And yeah, that was it. It was just an easy, simple way to do a video. And Kevin was like going full blast with, I guess, the flashy lights. So that's what happened.
nice?
Yeah, and I mean, the seizure warning was just there to be, you know, just to be a warning. But yeah, I guess it's pretty. I guess it makes sense because it is kind of hectic still. So,
No, it's very cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
So,
no,
yeah.
no, it's very cool. Like sometimes just a good old live video going crazy is what you want, and for this kind of music, it worked really well.
No, thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So let's talk about Philly for a second.
Yeah.
I'm born and raised in Jersey, so
Oh, no.
I played the New York, New Jersey, Philly scene in the late '80s, '90s, up to the early 2000s.
Mhm.
What is the scene like now?
Mm.
And do you feel like this band fits in the scene? Because there seems to be a really big kind of thrash and black metal like revival on the East
Yeah.
Coast.
Yeah. So it's kind of tough because of COVID. So I've only been to two shows now, like and I just started going back like 2 months ago. But you know, people are going to them. They're nice. There was, you know, nice turnout. I mean, and seems like it's coming back. Okay. I guess what I would comment on would be before COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, you know, if I was ever going to bring this, you know, live, I think it would fit because like Philly has a pretty, at least Philly or the larger Philly area has like a pretty eclectic scene anyway. And I'm used, even if we didn't fit, I'm kind of used to that anyway. I'm the other band that I'm mostly doing work for, Lore. Like we're a power metal band, right? So, and you know, there's not that many power metal bands either. So we're used to playing shows with giant eclectic lists. Like we played rock shows, and we played the death metal shows, and everything in between. We played shows like fusion bands and everything. So we've done everything. And as a whole, though, like I think the scene is really good. In terms of like the quality of bands that are out there, even though it's like nothing belongs in the same niche, which is kind of interesting. But post COVID, I mean, all the bands that I remember gigging with, you know, prior to COVID, I think are still going at it pretty strong. So I imagine it's probably similar. But I don't know. I guess we'll see. But I think you are right. There is like a few blackened bands starting to show up more frequently in the area. And I don't know if you're fans of Illustrium at all, but the death metal side is pretty strong here too.
Very much so. Yeah. No. Very, very much so. So
play with them all the time.
that cool. That's a great segue into your other projects. So I kind of want to like. So I did take a few minutes to kind of just see your other world.
Yeah.
So I was gonna ask, how did someone from a band like Lore come into 1,000 bone cylinder explosion?
Oh, that's a long story because Laura started. I mean, I'm not nowhere near high school age anymore, but Laura started in high school as almost a joke. So I mentioned Tyler, who filmed the video. It was just me and him. In we were in band in high school, band class together. He was a trumpet player. I played clarinet. Missed opportunity. I should add some clarinet on the album, right? No, I did play clarinet on the Illustrium record. So there you go.
Nice.
Used for one thing since high school. That was the one thing. And some my other band uses it occasionally. But yeah, it was just like a joke. We were actually in a ska band at the time. But we started getting into metal slightly, and it was, you know, in the folk metal, power metal realm. So made Lore. Lore became a thing out of kind of a weird half joke, but, you know, it was serious. And then, you know, obviously kept going and going. And then through our loring adventures, we started dipping our toes in other genres. used to be part of some metal forums back in the day that got exposed us to like some of the atmospheric black metal stuff that was out there. And I think that was when I started getting the more extreme side of things. And then, I don't know, just went from there, just kept going deeper and deeper into things, started listening to some death metal, so on and so forth. And it's been like, 10, 15 years. And then specifically 1000 Bone Stone Explosion, like this project actually started like 7 years ago or so. And it was actually in the midst of recording Laura's first record. And there was like a weird lull when we were recording, and I just had not much to do. And this project specifically was born out of, I'm going to try to write, quote unquote, a dumb, thrashy record in a day. Obviously, 7 years later, I've totally failed. But that's how it started. And I thought about it more. I wanted to write as fast as possible that day. That's why I called it dumb. But then obviously it stretched it out. So I took away the dumb. I tried to make it less dumb. It's pretty dumb still, but that's how I got into it. Mostly just experimenting, and also like power metal is a kind of thrash adjacent anyway in terms of style. So it was like an easy segue in terms of like technical stuff.
Cool.
Where the 1000 Bone Stone Explosion is on the faster side. Still like Lore's pretty fast, but it ain't this fast. So.
No, it's not as fast as that at all.
Yeah.
So there's one other band that you either work with. I like I said, there's some things that are just a little mysterious still about you. So Ashen Waves.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you did, Dick. Yeah, Ashen Waves was a senior project I did for college.
Okay.
We are still going to come back to it, I think, actually, because we like this. That was supposed to be our take on we were inspired by bands like was it Alsace? I never know how to say that band.
Yep.
You know the band term. Alsace, because they're French. I don't know what it actually is. I love them. They're great. They're amazing. I love them. So that was our obsession with that band, and like maybe like a few like the doomier, stonier bands at the time. Maybe think like Swallow the Sun or something like that. And I was trying to just like pull from those genres a little more and not do the really fast power metal-y thrashy stuff at the time. So that was what Ashen Waves was. It was also like one of my first forays into recording and producing an album, so it's on the rougher side. but we're gonna do another one eventually. We have friends that we like some of the songs, and we have friends and stuff, or close friends that also enjoyed that style that we were doing. So we're gonna probably go back to that at some point and make it better, but we'll see.
Cool. Well, yeah. I feel like Ashen Waves kind of has elements of this, just in a slower manner. That's why I was kind of asking. Like that one feels like it's maybe the bare bones of where 1000 Bone Cylinder was coming from.
Yeah. I mean, part like some of the thematic stuff, I guess, was definitely was in the same vein. Honestly, if you checked out all the things I've been involved with, 1000 Bone Stone Explosion is kind of at the nexus of all of it. It's a little bit of everything that I tend to do with my other projects. So
cool.
Yeah, good idea.
So I guess the next thing is this was self-released, right?
Yeah. Everything we do, our little collective is self-released for the most part, I think.
Well, it's getting a lot of press and a lot of hype for something that's self-released, so I'm pretty impressed by that. Like I said, why, if it's something as original and interesting, would you not look for a label? I
just don't understand the point anymore. I mean, I get it; they have a lot of money. But at the end of the day, they're going to be. I mean, they can put a whole lot more money into it, obviously, but but that comes with consequences, I guess, right? So maybe it's just like I don't understand the whole thing, but also, I mean, looking for a label is like a lot of work too. So could be laziness at the end of the day, which is why I don't do it.
Fair. It's absolutely fair. It's totally fair.
If someone approached me, that would be cool, but would have to see what the deal is. And I don't really know that world that much. I'm just like kind of putting out music because I put out. It's all I do. So
cool.
I'm just going with whatever happens, and we'll see. If someone says something that makes sense to me, I'll listen to it. But in terms of my friends telling me to do stuff too, like I guess people have asked me if the label thing before, but I just haven't figured it out that much yet. I don't know. We'll see. I have friends that are on labels and stuff, but I haven't actually talked to them about it really. So I don't know. Maybe it is a good idea. Maybe, I don't know. I could be screwing up.
I don't think you're screwing up. I was just wondering why throw so much of your money, time, and investment in it when others can help you out too.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's an interesting, different kind of record.
Well, that's all. I mean, yeah, that's the thing. Well, you hear all the people about popular bands. They think sometimes people think labels would make it less weird and stuff. I'm like, I don't want to do that. So, this is what I want to make the weird thing. So that would be the big caveat, I guess, is if they forced me to write specific things, which I would do. I just wouldn't do it for something I had actual passion for. Okay, like I said, if they wanted me to write a stupid power metal record, which there's plenty of that out there, and it's all it's great. I love it. I love stupid power metal. Stupid. I'm being super elitist right now, but but you know what I mean. The straight ahead is what I want to say. Straight ahead power metal type stuff. I would totally do it, but I would do it fast. I wouldn't actually put all of my energy into something like that. Not because it's not awesome, but because it's not supposed to. I mean, usually you don't think about really straight ahead power metal or whatever being really, I don't know, thought intensive, I guess.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't put all my energy into it, but I could do it. I just wouldn't want to do it for, this, I guess, or lore for that matter. I wouldn't want to do it for lore either. But there would be. I mean, there's things I would do. I don't know.
Yeah, I would never say that Hammerfall or Man-O-War are thought-provoking.
They have their moments, right? I can't say they're my favorite power metal. I mean, like my favorite power metal bands is like stuff like Blind Guardian and stuff.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, like and Blind Guardian is just like outrageous. The songwriting is outrageous to me. Like that's what I aspire to do when I'm writing stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't talking about the Rhapsodies of this world that write amazing epic songs. No, I'm totally with you. So I guess the next thing I kind of want to talk about is some of the tracks that really kind of spoke to me on this record.
Yeah.
And I kind of wanted to get your kind of vibe and feedback and how they were created. And so the first one's going to be track number 4, Ice Cream.
Yeah.
Right. And the reason why I like that one is it's the most frantically controlled song on the record is the best way to explain it. Like it's almost falling off the rails all the time, but you keep bringing it back to the same common theme.
Yeah. Okay,
so
cool.
Kind of talk about that track a bit.
Yeah. Ice Cream. That actually, I remember writing it. I mean, I started writing. That was one of the original parts of my challenge I gave myself on that day. I'm writing the whole album in a day. It didn't start out as complicated as I guess it ended up getting. The main riff actually was it was actually almost just a chuggy chord progression. It was still, I mean, it's I guess like the harmonic basis behind it is the same. That was the only thing that stayed, but I embellished it, made it more riffy. Oh no, that one was a little weird. I think I had that idea, I guess, which is the first riff that you hear. And then I just want to use this chord progression for, I guess you could call it the chorus in the song. It was just like, I want to use, what is it, like a minor 1 chord and then like a natural major 6 chord, because it's kind of an off-putting weird vibe. And that was like just the idea for the chorus. And if you listen to the guitar parts during the chorus, it's just chugging, because I just wanted to use the chord progression there. Actually, there's a cool bass line, I think. It's slightly more interesting, the guitar part, at least, on that part. And I don't know, that one was just kept a lot of the album was kind of almost, it's not through written it by any means, but it was definitely kind of stream of consciousness, can't say words, in terms of the way I was writing. So I'd be like, this feels like it happens after this. Again, it was like I was trying to write fast, so the structure was there. And then when I went back and made it weirder, I started adding stuff. And at the end, if you listen to, I'm sure you heard there's like 2 of the main riffs kind of fighting with each other at the end. And that was, I mean, the whole album was just a bunch of happy accidents, to be perfectly honest, and that was kind of one of them.
Nice.
So yeah.
Cool. Thanks. So the next song we're going to talk about is Table in the Middle of the Room.
Yeah.
And I feel like if there was one song, if I just gave to someone and said, here's 1000 Bone Cylinder Explosion, this explains the band the best.
Okay, cool. Why?
Because it mixes the elements of the extreme thrash and the black metal elements, as well as those catchy kind of like fringe riffs that are in there. And it's probably, if I can use the word and not bastardize it for you, it is the most mainstream of all the tracks on the record. So I think people can kind of wean their way through
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah.
I had always thought Start was, which is why I was using it as like the single for everything. No, that's interesting finding out other people's perspective on it. Um, yeah, I mean, I get that. In my brain, I guess the reason why someone would pick that is because there's kind of that proggy element in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's actually a few big in my brain thematic elements in that song. But that's also why I never used it as one of the singles, because like I thought no one. I mean, like as a single, as a standalone song, I thought it wouldn't make any sense. I mean,
Gotcha.
I guess it kind of does, but like but for me, like the thing that song ties into is like you have to hear Forte first
Okay.
for that to hit as hard for me. Which is why I didn't want to use it as a single. But no, I get what you mean. I think in terms of like if you had to show a song that gets that shows all the parts of the album, I guess
Yep.
like there's some of the clean chill moments and then the proggy moments, and yeah, it's also dumb fast.
Yeah.
I get it. That makes sense to me. Yeah, I should have thought about it a
Cool.
little more.
Awesome.
Cool.
Awesome. So the last song I want to talk about is Pillars.
Okay, cool.
All right. And this is an interesting one to me
Hmm.
because this is the one I would have made a video for.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
okay, weird. Yeah, you're picking on weird.
And I'm gonna say the reason why is I think it's the most creative I hear you on the record. All right.
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
And the reason why is there maybe it's just the way the guitar was played,
Hmm.
but there's so many layers on
Hmm.
Pillars
Yeah.
where I think you could win over a whole broad fans of metal and extreme music with that, but
Yeah.
not only metal fans, but kind of proggy rock fans too with that song.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So I think you got like you're given the best of both worlds of the band itself with that song. And just listening to the way it grows and ebbs and flows, you could almost put a story to the pillar tracks.
Yeah. That's interesting. That's a because that was never really. It's weird. It's cool like talking to people about what the songs that actually stuck out to them. And that's like one of the ones that usually never comes up in mind when I was thinking about singles. Because what did I pick as singles? I picked Start, Continue, and
Yeah.
Dreams. Yeah, Pillars was like never on that list for me, weirdly. But no, I get what you mean. Like I always had, I have like work. We had working. Well, it was just me, so I had working titles for things. This was the one I always called. This is the butt rock song on the album. Because it's the only. It's it's enough. It has the rock elements, like you said, and yeah. And then, but it also in my brain, I almost call it like the Skeleton Witch middle section.
Sure.
Yeah. So that I mean, my brain definitely thinks like there's a fast thrash. That was like the most overtly black and thrashy thing I think I did, because I think of Skeleton Witch a little bit in the middle, just because the tremolo riff in the middle. Under the solo, but yeah, I might have messed up there. You could be right. Could be one of my many missteps with this.
Nah, there can't be missteps with this band. It's just kind of what you do. But like I said, I just could see a really cool video for Pillars. That's all I'm saying is
Yeah,
like,
no, I would do
yeah,
it. I would do it.
yeah,
I mean, there's still chances to do videos now. We're actually maybe thinking about maybe doing another one, but I don't know. No like big video ideas yet, so I have to
cool.
stew on it. Yeah. So that's an idea.
Cool. So if there were three bands that you would say are the most influential to this project,
Right.
what three bands would there be?
Okay. Yeah. Skeleton Witch is in there. Um. Whew. It's tough because like it's also I started this 7 years ago, and let me think. I know Skeleton Witch is one. I know I'm gonna throw a weird one in there. Do you know Pliny? The
Yeah.
guitar, yeah. I know it doesn't show up at like basically at all, but some of I guess like the way he writes, I was thinking about a lot. And what would be another one? I can't. I mean, I totally get why you say Psy, but I can't say that I was conscious of it. Oh man, what's a third one? By the way, I had to do like a bunch of written interviews for this, and every time everyone's asked me this question, I've had no idea what to say. It's always been a struggle. What's the third? Man, um, I might say Alcest weirdly, even though
Okay.
again, um, it's like none, like the only actual thing that connects me to black and thrash is Skeleton Witch and this concoction, I guess. And then everything else is kind of just like this weird like I just always listen to Pliny Analysis a lot. They're like in my top 10, I guess, bands that are artists I listen to a lot. So I just think about them a lot. I don't know if it had a direct influence on this project. Oh, you know what? I should probably, there's probably like, there could be like maybe some Diablo Swing Orchestra vibes
That was a
inadvertently.
band I was going to kind of talk to you about. That's kind of
Yeah.
funny that you say that.
And like maybe like real, I know, I mean, in terms of aesthetic, maybe like something like Real Big Fish, like going into the ska stuff back in the day in high school. I mean, maybe that stuff, but yeah, narrowing it down to three, it's like just a weird amalgamation. Because I mean, yeah, there is obvious ska moments, so I guess that isn't totally that weird to say. So yeah, I guess you could pick any of those three. I guess Skeleton Witch would be the only like for sure thing.
Okay.
In terms of obvious stylistic, grabby. I mean, maybe like stuff like Havoc and stuff too.
You can hear the Havoc.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's funny that you say Real Big Fish because I'm gonna give you this weird circular thing you just did for me. So my best friend I grew up with, we started our first band together, and it was glam metal. It was full on teased hair, like you know, late 80s, early 90s inspired. We were 16 years old, playing in high school together. He became the A&R VP of Universal MCA.
Oh wow!
And he actually signed Real Big Fish.
So he's the one responsible for Sellout.
Yes, he is responsible for Sellout. He actually was in the studio with them while they were recording that record.
Oh my god, that's insane.
So you give me, yeah, his name is Greg. I'm not gonna give his last name because then everybody will go.
Too.
Yeah. My buddy's name is Greg, and like I said, so. But you just like gave me this really big circular world. We have been friends for like 30 something years now. And every time I hear Real Big Fish, I always tell him, you did that to me.
That's amazing.
Yeah, you did.
You did it to the world.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool.
That's amazing. I love that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll just put Real Big Fish in there for sure then.
There you go, man. Cool. So I guess the next thing I kind of want to talk about is your vocal style a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it's not really black metal. It's not really thrash metal. It's not really death metal. I'm not really sure what it is.
Yeah. I can maybe try. What's his name? I forgot his name. But I know the band. All right. So it'll probably show up in my conscious at some point. But do you know the folk metal band Equilibrium?
Yes.
Okay, so first few albums. What was the first first singer's name or vocalist name? The giant blonde-haired guy. Well, him specifically. I remember when I was first starting to like learn how to do harsh vocals. I was listening to that album Sagas, like nonstop, and that was when. And so I guess I like inadvertently based my vocalizations off him. So and I know people kind of pinpoint him as being kind of in the blackened zone.
Yeah.
So I think maybe, and then I think from there, I also realized my voice just doesn't sit that high naturally. It's like not where my comfort is. I can remember like practicing in the car, trying to do that stuff, and like this always is painful and hurts. Trying to get that high, and then I realized I'm a little lower than that, I think, or at least I'm naturally more comfortable in a slightly lower range. So I think that's maybe why I'm like trying to always do that high thing though, because of how I was practicing at the time. Or not always, obviously. I try to do the low stuff. I'm just not as I don't clean at the low stuff right now.
Sure.
But I'm liking this high mid-range thing. I think that's maybe why it seems like black metal, but is maybe not really totally all the way there. So could be bad technique too. I know there's some bad technique involved.
It works well, but I was just kind of wondering if there was something specifically you did, because again, I agree with you. It's not low lows, it's not high highs. It's kind of this whole mid-paced, kind of thrashy, blackened experience that works really well with all those other elements we talked about.
No, thank you.
Yeah. So moving forward, Is there going to be another 1,000 bone cylinder record?
Yeah, I'm actually I'm like I'm writing. I've been writing actually this past whole month a lot for what I think I want to do with it. I will say, so the project as a statement, I guess, was never. I mean, I don't know if you read my bio or anything, but I'm not married to Black and Thrash, which
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know is which is basic. I know it's like definitely like 90% of the stylistic aesthetic of Bind at least, but I might not be doing that ratio, I guess,
Gotcha.
going forward. The stuff that I've been writing this past month, and that's actually a lot. There's like, I mean, I might not just use all this material for just this. Like, there's some other things that like Ashen Waves I've been maybe writing
Mm-hmm.
for also. I haven't totally nailed down where things might end up, but what I've been thinking what's going to happen is I want to. Well, there's a few things. There's also a few dumb things I wanted to also do. Like, first thing is like I have all these fuzz pedals and no band to play them in, so I kind of want to use fuzz pedals on something. None of my bands use them. I'm like, but I love fuzz. It's like my favorite thing in terms of buying toys for myself for guitar nerd things. So I might use fuzz stuff. That doesn't necessarily mean it'll be slow, but I just want to use them. So that's one of the things I want to do. Also, I mean, I was a piano player first, weirdly, and I do want to play more piano going forward. I feel like I didn't use a lot of, I hardly used any. There's that one moment in Forte, and then there's a few synthesizers poked up here and there on the record, but I kept it to a minimum on Bind. I think I want to do a little bit more going forward, so we'll see. I think it's gonna be a little weirder even than this, whatever the next thing is. So but it just might not be as fast. I think is what it looks like it's going to be. But we'll see. I don't know. It could be just as fast. We'll see what I end up with. There's like a lot of things I want to sort through, but there's going to be future releases for sure. Just don't know what it looks like yet.
Yep. Yeah, weird is never a bad word for me. So yeah, like I said, you wanna make unusual. That's great. So I guess where I'm gonna kind of move on to is I have a couple more questions about kind of guitar tones and things along those lines.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. So it seems like you love this dichotomy between buzzsaw guitars and melodic guitars.
Yeah.
All right. And sometimes you mix them together and it almost becomes this cacophony of melody. Like it's the strangest thing. It's painfully wonderful to listen to. Like that's like the best way I can explain it.
Yeah.
But have you always mixed like very dense melody with harsh like thinness like that, or is it more just something for 1,000 bone cylinder explosion?
I think it's more for this. So it's interesting because I actually think I'll be doing that mix even worse on this next album I've been working on. Not for actually 1,000 Bones. I'm in another band which hasn't released a debut yet, but that's what I'm working on currently. Top Hats and Effigies, if you're curious. The guitar tone and that's going to be really weird, specifically because the band is pretty. It's even imagine all the silly moments of 1,000 Bone Cylinder Explosion. That's like all this band does.
Okay.
So it's like whatever that ratio is, we flip it slightly more. It's way sillier. So the guitar tone, I wanted it to be silly, but for 1,000 Bone Cylinder Explosion, I mean, I don't know. I think like I said before, I think I was like I was mostly just a product of me trying to force to use specific gear. More than anything, I was just like I didn't use like an actual amp really. I mean, I used a power amp.
Sure.
It was a speaker. I didn't use like an actual preamp going to an amp, like an amp head. I used an ISP power amp, which is just a power amp. You know, it's not doing anything. And then I just had distortion pedals running as my preamps going into them. If you're curious, I used the Friedman BEOD as one of the ones. There's this pedal called What You Want To, if you heard it. It's like that. And then Metal Zone was all the solos and stuff. But I used the Waza one. It's fine. So it could have just been I don't know if I was totally conscious of it. I will say, I mean, so the lead guitars are, I generally make them smoother sounding just because when you're playing up higher, I don't want it necessarily to be scratchy. And the rhythm stuff is definitely on the more spiky, high, trebly sound, I guess. So I think it was just a matter of how I tend to like where I'm playing and stuff. So it's probably register dependent in terms of how it ended up fitting in the final mix. and also, just a consequence of me being like, I'm using a metal zone because everyone makes fun of it. So yeah, it's the best
Cool.
pedal.
No, awesome. Yeah, I'm not gonna argue. Like, you can hear the metal zone tone. Trust me, it's
Heck
not.
yeah.
There's no joke there.
I love that.
So the next thing with the guitars are sometimes I feel like almost it's too much.
Okay.
And I kind of want to talk to you about that as well too. Did you at a certain point in time say like, okay, enough guitars, or did you just keep layering and because sometimes it feels like there's 8, 10 different guitar layers going on. So
Weird. There's actually never that many.
okay,
There's so the majority of the album is just the two,
okay,
left and right. There will occasionally be like a lead and then probably a harmony to the lead, and I think that's as dense as it ever gets in terms of actual layering. I mean, the bass has so I recorded the bass with like a guitar amp also. So there's sometimes an there is sometimes an extra layer of filth that the bass is contributing. So it could be the bass.
I think it's the bass then that like
Yeah.
I'm giving the extra layers on. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes it's so intense and in your face that I just feel like there's so much going on that you can't hear everything.
Mhm.
And that was kind of it might be that bass track because
Could be.
it is kind of a dirty, nasty lower tone that I was talking about.
It's probably the bass then. If you're specific, I probably know the parts you might be thinking of. So there's that one part in Pillars.
Yes.
Okay, that one I actually think is just a product of that part because it's a messy part. that was actually just that was a normal like 2 guitars, 1 bass thing, and then just that was probably mostly the vocals fault, probably. And then maybe Untether, was it in the Untether sections and the slow bits? Yeah. Okay, so this was one of the few moments I got to use fuzz. I was really happy with myself. That was me throwing on fuzz on every instrument to make it more unbearable to listen to, I guess. There's also, especially if you hear it at the tail end where all the distortion guitars actually finally fade out for the whole album, I am turning up. There's an active pedal that I'm turning up slowly on all the instruments, so it feels like it's getting muddier and muddier, which it is. So you'll hear if the last chord is not a 6-string, it doesn't sound like a 6-string guitar anymore. It sounds like I'm playing a down tuned 7th or something.
So I'm not insane then. See,
you
knew exactly what I was talking about, which is really good.
Yeah.
Cool. So I guess what I'm going to do here is say, I'm going to ask a couple more questions, wrap it up. But if there was anything that you could change with this record, is there one thing that you would want to change?
So weirdly, I don't even think, because I was in the middle of mixing still, and my hard drive died at the end of this. I had actually made like finals or masters at the end, and I probably would have still kept tweaking, to be honest, going back, but it would have, and I still have like a backup, but it was like a month or 2 prior, so it would have just been more work than I would have wanted to deal with having gone back. So there is actually a bunch I probably would have changed. I'm still, my mixing isn't, especially at the time, still could be improved upon. I'm still working on it. Even now, which I'd finished actually mixing it, I guess, like half a year ago at this point. But even between that year, I feel like I've improved on the mixing. So I probably could go back, make the mixing a little better. But at the same time, though, it's like, you can only spend so much time on things, so it had a it's been enough. I'm not going back through that hard drive. But yeah, I would go back. In terms of like the writing, though, I'm happy with the writing actually. There's nothing on the writing side of it, or I guess to a certain extent, I could say the performance side. I mean, like, I guess it could be cleaner if you're the type of person that likes perfectly edited, performed albums and stuff, and I think there is like there is a place for that for sure, because like in the tech death sphere, I feel like that's important. I don't know, I kind of wanted it to be on the sloppy side, so I wasn't totally. I edited some stuff. I'm not crazy, but there was a limit to what I would do. I'm like, I'll leave that stupid noise in, or imperfection. Like, you know, it's definitely imperfect, and there's no hiding it regardless. So I was like, just gonna let it be imperfect. So I don't think I'd actually change that part of it, even though I could see people wanting that to be cleaner to some degree. But yeah, mixing probably the most.
Okay.
There might be. I mean, there's always things in terms of arrangements that you could be like, I could have added this little detail here and stuff. But like again, you can only work on things for so long before you go crazy.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't want a clean production or a more sterile production on this, because the dirtiness is what makes it what it is. It really,
thank you.
Yeah, yeah. No, you should, because the
the
reason why it speaks to me the way it is it reminds me of the old tape trading days. Like, like where I talked to a friend, like writing pen pals back and forth from some magazine back in the 90s, and we would talk about each other's bands, but we would never really know what they sounded like. And we would get each other's demo tape and be like, your band sounds nothing like what you said. Like,
yeah.
But it's fucking awesome. Like,
oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
So that's kind of what it was. Like, just listening to something that I really wasn't sure where it was going to go. And when I finished it, I still wasn't really sure where it was going to go.
Yeah. I'm happy about that. Thank you. Good compliment.
No, that's awesome, man. So I guess the last question I like to ask everybody is kind of, if there was anybody that you could collaborate with on this next record, who would it be and why?
It's weird. I've thought about this too, because someone else has asked me this too, and I think my answers are always weird for this, because it's weird. Like all my heroes and everything, I almost don't want to work with them, because I would probably not have the wherewithal to be like, I have opinions on things. So I actually, and that I almost would rather just always be working with the group of friends that I have now, almost, just because I'm comfortable with it. We know how we work. I'm not afraid. Like, we're not afraid to say things and do things. And also, specifically for 1000 Bone Cylinder Explosion, I kind of want to be the tyrant here. So I just want, since it's a solo project, I don't know if I want to work. I mean, I would take, give me, I don't know, you can get rid of my vocals entirely. Put I don't know, Devin Townsend, because he's one of the best vocalists out there. Sure, he can replace me. He's way better than I am. I would take him, but at the same time, he has to do what I say.
Yeah, I got you.
But again, it's like it's one of those instances where, like, I wouldn't tell him anything. He'd have to write the whole album for me at that stage. I don't know. It's a weird question, because I don't know how I'd behave around like my ideal heroes and stuff. So I don't know. I'd probably just maybe work with some friends I haven't worked with yet.
Okay.
As a soft answer as that is, I think that's actually where I am.
Oh, that's fair. That's completely fair. And I almost feel like Devin Townsend would do whatever you wanted. He's kind of like really laid back. And,
he's a really nice guy. I watched some interviews with him, and he's so sweet. But at the same time, it's like, oh man, he might be too nice.
Yeah, I think
he's just kind of so paranoid that he's just thinking, like, this idiot's making me do this.
And I think it'd be the polar opposite. I think he's like, hey, this is what this guy wants. Let's just do it, man.
I mean, if
kind
you
of the way
to.
Yeah.
You can replace all my vocals and everything I ever do.
That's awesome. So why don't we leave it at this and kind of say, take a few minutes, talk about any new things that are coming up. If there's any projects you want to talk about, I'm going to kind of give you, Peter, the next couple of minutes to talk about your music and what's going on.
Okay, so I'm in a bunch of bands, as we've kind of covered. I am working on the next 1000 Bone Cylinder Explosion stuff. I don't know when that will be out. It's kind of, this project is kind of fitting in between everything else. Lore is my main project, and it always takes priority. Though, even though that's being worked on, which we have, I don't know if you know the history of the band at all, but we released like a mini album last year, and then we kind of, along with that, said that we were going to have another album out this year, and we're totally lying about that apparently. So we're almost done writing it, is what I want to say. We're very close. I would say we're 99% there. Like, we thought we were done almost done last year, but that last 10% or whatever has consumed the whole year. We're almost done. I say we're starting demo, like actual recordings hopefully soon though. But we're still working out some stuff with the writing. But that should be soon. So lore, hopefully soon. The thing I'm actually working on now that is almost done being recorded is Top Hats and Effigies. So that's we've had a demo in the past, but no full length. We've re-recorded this album like 3 times. We started this a long time ago, so that'll come out. It's kind of silly, and we are probably gonna do. You brought up Ashen Waves. We probably will do another Ashen Waves record at some point. I would probably say after all of this.
Sure.
So ideally, the way I see things going is Top Hats and Effigies first, then maybe lore, then Ashen Waves, and 1,000 Bone Cylinder Explosion can kind of fit in anywhere, just depending whenever it gets done. So. So something along those lines. Hopefully something happens this year. I'm also in another band called Bodus, but I don't know what we're doing as of yet with our recording future. So, and if that is just black and thrash too. So it's weirdly, it doesn't sound anything like 1,000 Bone Cylinder Explosion. So I guess that shows the failure of certain genre titles sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of stuff. Don't know actually when anything is happening though. So hopefully soon though. I can't imagine going to the end of the year without any news of anything. So something will happen soon.
Cool. Well, Peter, thank you so very much for this again. It's been a blast. I'm glad we got to talk to each other, and love the music. If you play out live, just let us know, like, because we'll be more than happy to kind of come see you. I'm sure my readers, viewers, whatever they are,
Yeah. I really appreciate the interview. Yeah, some crazy questions in there. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey, not a problem, man. Again, Clint from the Doorway too, hanging out with Peter from 1,000 Bone Cylinder Explosion. Until next time, man, it's been a blast. Thanks.
Awesome.